Right guys, lockdown vlog number 2. So, some of you might have caught it, but I tried to live stream WrestleMania 36 by pointing my camera at the telly and streaming it. And because it's such a strange WrestleMania, in that of course with social distancing and quarantine, it was held in an empty arena. And it was just the most bizarre thing ever. It's so weird to see these wrestlers going through the motions, having their matches and mugging it off and doing all the acting and such to an empty arena. You know, it was just bizarre. So I just wanted to share that with people and have fun watching it. And got a few hundred people watching the stream, and of course got blocked for copyright. And I've actually had a strike, and I now can't live stream for the next probably 2 or 3 months. So yeah, don't fuck with the WWE. They will come after you. But never mind. I kind of think it's inevitable, really, of course. But I don't see the point of them really going after people streaming that, given the fact that you could get it for free anyway. You'd sign up to a month's free trial to the WWE kind of Netflix app, and you could have watched it for free anyway. And then that's what I've done. I've got the app free for a month, and as long as I cancel it before the first week of May, then I won't have to have paid for anything. And so yeah, it's kind of a nostalgia trip. I used to be into wrestling big time back in the day, the golden era. Macho Man Randy Savage was my favourite at the time. When I was a kid, I had all the posters on my wall. I had one wall of my bedroom entirely filled with A1 pull-out posters. Anybody who might have been into wrestling back in the day, remember you used to get these sort of like a magazine, but the whole thing was a poster if you folded it out. And so I had like all of these oiled, semi-naked men on my wall as a child. Yeah. Wrestling, it's not homoerotic at all, is it? But yeah, but that was my era, the golden era, where kayfabe meant something. Kayfabe is a word I've only just recently learnt about, actually. Kayfabe is that illusion where you kind of sell the whole thing as real, and you try not to break the illusion of it being like a real storyline kind of thing. And I'd lost interest after about, I'd say about 93, 94, I kind of stopped following wrestling. And after that, the Attitude Era, of course, came in, where they started to mess with kayfabe, mess with the fourth wall kind of thing, and they kind of broke down that whole barrier between, you know, they kind of admitted to everybody that we knew it was just kind of, you know, a pantomime, essentially. But anyway, it's still a fun thing. It's still fun entertainment. So yeah, for a bit of nostalgia, thought I'd try and live stream WrestleMania 36. 36! Oh my god! I remember when getting excited about WrestleMania 7. Jesus. But yeah, so that's that. I'm still well. Partner's had a cough for the last couple of weeks. Got kind of fluid on her lungs, so we've been doing certain exercises to try and dislodge the mucus in the lungs. It's kind of whether she's had the deadly lurgy or not, we don't know because no one's getting tested. But let's not go down that rabbit hole. Pretty much enjoying lockdown. It's nice to be off work for a few weeks, although we'll be starting at a new job in the NHS at the end of this month. Hopefully they've got some fucking PPE by then. But yeah. Gaming, that's the best thing about lockdown, really. For us gamers, we've been preparing for this our whole lives. This is so good, so easy. We can do this. Being locked up in your house with all those games to finally get through. So yeah, I've been playing some stuff. Still haven't got to the backlog though, or the old stuff. I've been playing more modern games. The free game with PS Plus this month was Uncharted 4, and I've been playing that. Absolutely love that game. Played through and finished it in about, just under a week, playing it every day. It's got to be the best looking game I've ever played in terms of graphics. It's absolutely stunning. Proper HDR, proper 4K, absolutely just beautiful looking game. And I was talking to SNES-tastic about this, Pete. It happens every console generation. You get to the end of a generation. Although I know, to be fair, I know Uncharted 4's been out a while. That's not one that's come out at the end of the generation, but they certainly knocked it out of the park with that one. You think to yourself, this generation's got a few more years in it. I mean, how much better can graphics get? But I remember thinking the same thing with the original Xbox. Like, how much better can graphics get? The 360's coming out. What? But yeah, seriously though, how much better can graphics get? I mean, Uncharted 4. I mean, there is thousands of man hours into just making those environments, and I almost felt guilty not if I didn't see every inch of the levels. I almost felt guilty for not fully appreciating the work that had been put into these levels. Like, there's whole entire areas of Uncharted 4 that you won't even see ever unless you go off the beaten path and look for those little treasures and stuff. So much work put into it. But then you kind of think, well, from a developer's point of view, from a programmer's point of view, you've got to know that although each player might only see every part of the game for a fleeting second, millions of eyes will see those parts of the levels. So cumulatively, you're getting a fair amount of interaction with what you've made there. Does that make any sense? I don't know. But yeah, that's like the end of the Nathan Drake saga. Hopefully they'll make another one on PS5. You can only imagine what that engine that they've got can do on PS5 with the extra power. It's already so amazing on the current gen hardware. But they kind of set it up nicely for potential new series. No spoilers in case you haven't got that far. But yeah, really enjoyed Uncharted 4. And I looked, the gun battles, the gun fights, the battles and the gunplay in that game is so fun. I really enjoy the AI in Uncharted 4. It's just got the right kind of mix of strategy, but not, it's not too difficult, but it's certainly challenging. And the AI is good enough that it makes you feel like these enemies are kind of organically really kind of working together or looking for you, that kind of thing. It just works so well. And yeah, loved everything about that game. What else have I been playing? Well, still VR, of course. Separation is a cool indie game that came out on PSVR recently. It's kind of very moody, complete opposite to Uncharted 4. Very sparse, very basic, but very atmospheric game made by one guy. PSVR, of course, for the main part, really, for the last, when did it come out? 2016, so the last like 4 years almost. PSVR really has been kind of kept alive by indie developers and very small teams. It's been, you have to say, it has been kind of disappointing that more big studios haven't really pushed PSVR and used it and taken that kind of risk, because it's a catch-22 situation. You've got around 6 to 7, nearly, I think it's about 6.5, maybe 7 million PSVR headsets have been sold, and that's quite a good attach rate for such an expensive and unique and maybe difficult to kind of sell peripheral. It's quite a good attachment rate compared to other, I'm going to say, similar peripherals. There's not really been anything similar in terms of VR. It's a whole new thing, but the investment that's involved with it, the fact that it's a completely different way of playing, difficult to sell, awkward really to get to set up and get into. There's that barrier there of learning how to really use it effectively. So it's had a good attachment rate considering there's so much against it. And with it being the first generation, of course, it's still some refinement needed before it's perfect, and the masses might be more sold on it. Hopefully the tech will become more accessible and cheaper in the future, which will entice more people into it. But the catch-22 that I was referring to a minute ago is this, you need really big studios to put out VR games of their big franchises to help grow the platform. So if there was, an Uncharted VR, that is going to entice a lot of hardcore Uncharted fans to try out VR. It might have happened with Skyrim. There's a Skyrim VR port. I'm sure that was a big spike in sales of the headset then when that came out, because there's a lot of dedicated Skyrim fans, and they knocked it out of the park with Skyrim VR. It's fucking brilliant, so much fun. But there hasn't been enough like big studios that have really taken advantage of this tech and kind of and taking a risk, because you know it is an investment to make. I would say it's a big investment to make a VR dedicated game. But even given that investment, you'd hope that these big studios would be able to take that risk and plough a bit of money into taking that risk and seeing what happened. The best model we've seen is still Resident Evil 7. Capcom, from so early, I think that was early 2017, I think Resident Evil 7 came out. So that's very close to the beginning of the PSVR's lifespan. And right out of the gate, they set the bar so high. And it's unfortunate that not many studios have kind of matched that and been inspired by that to try and put their own games out with a VR version attached. Because the model that Capcom used was so effective. Here is this mainstream game that is for the mainstream market for TV gaming, and they've added a VR mode. So they've not put all their eggs in one basket. They've not, ploughed millions into developing a game that's just for VR. They're still going to make that profit back on that game and make, I don't know what the sums are, but they're certainly going to make their money back off Resident Evil 7 from the general sales to people that are buying it to play on the TV. But they went to the extra trouble of developing an engine that allowed them to convert games into VR. So from reports that I've read, they spent about a year developing an engine that would enable them to then port games into a VR version, and it took them about 2 months using that engine to port Resident Evil 7 into VR. So that's a really good investment, a really good comeback. You'd think, hopefully, if that engine is now there and can be used in future, they only have to put that small amount of work in to then develop their future games and add a VR mode. And of course with PS5 coming and hopefully PSVR 2 not long after that, you're going to have some tech that is more able to take advantage and more able to port AAA games into VR, because that's a problem that it's had, of course, and this is why indie developers have really kept it going, because the pure fact of the VR is it's very it needs a lot of power behind it, because you're processing 2 images simultaneously. You've got one for the left eye, one for the right eye. So every screen, every frame of the game is having to be rendered twice to give that stereoscopic vision. And it has to be at a high frame rate as well. So with those two preconditions in place, it's proved difficult for some developers to really get the most out of VR and get AAA games running in the way that they need to in order to be effective and smooth and comfortable in VR. Although it is possible. This is the thing. It's not like it's impossible. It must be difficult. Capcom put the work in and they knocked it out of the park. And Resident Evil 7 is so effective that I couldn't play it by myself in the house. I said this many times before. It's so effective and so scary in VR. I don't think you've really played that game until you've played it in VR, because you can't possibly conceive of how effective that is as a scary experience until you've played it in VR. It's so good. But I've been picking up quite a lot of games actually for PSVR recently. It's been a good sale on, and locked indoors. What else are you going to do? Not spending money on anything else. Glastonbury was cancelled. Mentioned that in the last video. What else is to be said? Well, I'm home alone at the minute because the missus has gone to look after her mum, who started to feel a bit rough. Some of the old symptoms that we're being told may or may not be a dreaded lurgy. Hope everyone's all right though. Just a quick check-in to say hello. How are you guys? How are you doing? Hope everyone's well. And a little tip: if you go to the supermarket, go in the evening, because there's no queues. It's crazy, man. Those queues outside the supermarkets, so weird. But yeah, go in the evenings, no queue, and support your local stores. Support your local fruit and veg shops, that kind of thing. This is an opportunity for us to kind of learn some stuff moving forward and how we kind of, operate. And I don't know what else to say. At the risk of rambling any further, I'll say this is the end of the video, and take care of yourselves. Bye.